Fishing the Swan River during the winter can sometimes be a bit challenging. This year it hasn't been too bad, with the rain being pretty light compared to some other years. So in this video I'm just going to run through 5 different tips I have for fishing the swan. I'll start off with the first tip anyway. We're looking at fishing drains. During the winter I'm covering more ground and just spotting out the little drains. When it's high tide it's hard to see them in the water, so if you look out on the top of these rock walls you'll see these little concrete panels where the drains are, or other little clues to find where they are. Around the city and whatnot, they're usually about every 50 metres or so. So here you can see there's a little one here, so I'm just casting along the different edges of these drains and walking up and down the river from drain to drain. Generally drains are going to create a little fish hole or a bit of a drop off for you to cast into right from shore without having to wade out. So I'm usually start off by casting right on the edges of where it will start dropping off, trying to catch those fish that are looking to ambush. And then I might chuck a few casts right down the middle to see if there's any fish right in the deep area. And I'll usually walk over and cast across it, so I'm getting both sides of the drop off. And I'm usually just walking from drain to drain. I'm not really worrying about the other areas as much because I'm just targeting the holes in the winter. Generally the fish are a lot more deeper and they're not so much on the sandy parts. Not always, but we're targeting them.
Oh, beautiful. It's a good one. Oh, he's great. Pull him in. Pull him in. Pull him in.
Here, brother Bob. He's out with me chasing some flatties and he was just casting right on the edge of the drop off of a drain to his left.
Yeah, pretty much.
Slow rolling of plastic and bang. Awesome flatty. Another thing about the drains is that if they come from a creek, they might also be an area where just general food and crap is getting flushed out into the river, which is going to give feed to the fish that are sitting there to ambush. Particularly if you see some of the little creeks during the summertime or spring, they'll be full of little potty mullets or little bait fish, so when a bit of rain comes along it will flush them right out. Perfect spot for an ambush. This is just my opinion, but there's that magic minute where you've been sitting in the rain for 10 minutes and it stops and everything goes still, there's a little bit of fog around and the fish just want to smash something, particularly tailor. So this is the same as off the beach as well, but if you're out fishing heavy structure around bridges or sitting on a jetty and the rain stops and everything goes still for a minute and those little bait fish come out from those spots they're hiding in, the tailor absolutely go mad. So when the rain stops for that minute, hook on. I harp on about this in a lot of my videos and I'm sure a lot of you know already, but during the winter it's fishing that deeper structure. Generally the fish are sitting there deeper underneath the fresh water that's sitting on top and just chilling a little bit in the bottom of the cold water down the bottom, using less energy. So I like to use metal blades. It's probably my main go-to. 1/8 to 1/4 metal blades in black are usually my favourite. You want to use things like soft vibes, those outback brimmer bait mussel style lures are great too, where you can get down nice and deep, and micro meats and other things like that as well, somewhere you can get right down the bottom. Heavier soft plastics too. My favourite this time of the year though is those 1/8 sort of little metal blades. Could feel the weight of it, knew it was a decent one. Had to concentrate to angle it away from the poles. It's a pity the drag wasn't working.
Oh, it's funny.
I was praying my leader knot wouldn't snap. Next tip is for the beach and the river, but particularly the Swan River. I like to use gold stick baits or really yellow stick baits in overcast conditions. Don't know why, don't know if it's actually a thing or it's just my preference. Either way, it's my go-to. These big chunky tailor like to hang around heavy structure, particularly during the top of the tide. So just as the tide's turning, you'll find these critters hanging around. My last tip is to fish the edges, and I'm talking about, I guess, the end of a rock wall where there's a change of structure, end of a little beach area or a nice bend in the river. Usually I'd wade out and walk across or along the drop-offs, but I'm not too keen to do that in the middle of winter, so I try and find those spots where there's a change in structure, change in condition where there'll be fish sitting. So here, after this bloody swan had a go at me, you can see here I'm just right at the end of the rock wall. Doesn't just have to be rock walls as well. It might just be where the beach starts to hit the grass or the tree areas on the edges of the river here. Any areas where there's going to be a slight drop off. Again, you're not waiting out because it's middle of winter, so you're looking for any sort of drop offs or edges. Another tip is if there's a really big tree or a bunch of trees like right on the edge of the river, generally the roots will dig in deep and it will cause a bit of a drop off right on the edge there. So that's another area where you're often going to get a nice drop off or a nice little floody hole as well. Sometimes those roots or those areas will also get covered in mussels and whatnot, which can be a pretty good area for bream too. This time of year I'd usually generally be down on the beach chasing the bigger tailor, but I've got a second bub and I can't really get out at 4 a.m. in the morning at the moment, so I'm usually just fishing or having a quick fish after work on the way home, and the swan's really been producing well, which has been a lot of fun. So thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, please hit me up in the comments below, and please subscribe.